not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. You know, I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that, and William Skull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, you know, how Canelo...
They announced it on Saturday after the whole Canelo fight, and I don't understand. This is a big fight. I don't know. I'm a boxing fan. I'm a UFC boxing fan. I'm a fan. But this fight, I ain't gonna lie, it might cause a little race war between blacks and Mexicans because, you know, Canelo's fans is kind of crazy. But
in September between the two great fighters in our generation.
Terence Crawford just recently pushed a live warning to Canelo Alvarez. In a short but pointed moment during a recent live stream, Crawford looked straight into the camera and said, "In September, I'm going to show the world what greatness looks like." It wasn't a vague comment. It was directed. It was meant for one man. This wasn't Crawford talking about someday. It was him making it clear that this fight in September isn't a side project. It's the next target. And he isn't coming to test himself. He's coming to win.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Over the past few months, his tone has shifted from playful to sharp. It started earlier in the year when he tweeted, "Remember what you said about me." That tweet came after years of Canelo brushing off the idea of a fight between them, calling Crawford too small. At the time, Crawford didn't answer with a full-blown rebuttal. He just planted a seed. Now it's grown. It's personal. And this live stream was a turning point. It showed he's ready to close the distance between talk and action.
68 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles.
Crawford's confidence hasn't come from hope. It's built on track record. It's just recently that he made another subtle dig online, saying, "Now don't make daddy take his belt off, son. You've been a good boy lately. Don't make papa mad now." It was light on the surface, but the meaning underneath was clear. Crawford sees himself as the man with control, and he views Canelo's recent performances as soft. In Crawford's view, the Canelo of today isn't the same beast from 4 or 5 years ago. And in this upcoming fight, Crawford believes he'll expose that.
I know Crawford and his fans would have never in their life allowed Crawford to fight 36 rounds with Canelo. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask him to fight David Benavidez. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask to fight Dimitri Bivol. We're talking like, about, I'm not done, my friend, because you're like on, that weed is real. I need some of that weed because, you know, we're talking about a dude that moved up 2 divisions.
Oscar De La Hoya, who knows both fighters well, weighed in recently with his take on how things might go on September 13th. Crawford is very, he's not one-dimensional. He can move, he can box, he can, I don't know how hard he hits to keep Canelo away from him, but, I think it's going to be very interesting, De La Hoya said. His hesitation wasn't about skill, it was about power. That's the central question heading into this matchup. Can Crawford make Canelo respect his shots?
I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not. Kovalev.
Kovalev was older.
De La Hoya admitted he's looking forward to the fight. Despite being unsure of the outcome, the matchup is one that brings legitimate curiosity. Crawford has made believers out of many, but facing someone who has operated at super middleweight for this long is another level of challenge. He's not just facing a bigger name, he's facing a naturally bigger man Manny Pacquiao, a fighter who understands the dangers of jumping weight classes better than most, offered his own advice to Crawford during a recent discussion. When asked what he would tell the Omaha native, Pacquiao responded plainly, "My advice is that he would make sure to focus on speed. That's the problem when you're moving up in weight, that your speed and power go. So he needs to focus on that."
Spaceman Films. What up, Biz? Who you got? Canelo Crawford.
Yeah, got Canelo. Yeah. I heard the punches that he hit Charlo with. I don't know if Crawford can absorb those punches. I know he's a great man and a great warrior. When you come from 147 to put on a better fight than Charlo, I mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means that Crawford is so great and he can do that, or that means that Charlo set the bar so damn low that anybody could do better than Charlo did last night.
Do skill really pay the bill? Because that would be tested.
Pay the bill. That's why Canelo's skillful too.
That's the key to Crawford's chances. He isn't going to win this fight through size or force. He has to win it by being faster, sharper, more alert. His whole style is built around angles, timing, and control. He's never relied on brute strength to get the job done. But at 168, against a guy who's been trading with hard hitters for years, that skill set will be tested like never before. Former WBA super middleweight champion George Groves, who knows the division firsthand, has a more skeptical view. He's not convinced Crawford can overcome the weight gap. "I can't see how Canelo can't win," Groves said. "He's had a lot of fights now, but there doesn't seem to be too many miles on the clock."
Yeah, that's a nice division. You got a lot of tough fighters in that division. Of course, Crawford came in there, and he got one match in, and now he's moving on to fight the big one, Canelo.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight, man?
And I mean, I got it even, to be honest. I mean, Canelo's got definitely more fight experience.
Groves noted that while Canelo might not be the biggest guy at super middleweight, he's filled into the weight. His body is built for the physical demands of that division now. Meanwhile, Crawford has only recently arrived at 154 and is now leaping up again. To Groves, that's a red flag. He added, "I can't see him putting any physical dent in Canelo. He's an amazing fighter, Crawford. He's an astute, clever boxer who has almost every shot in the book. His balance is tremendous, but I think it is a step too far." That's a view shared by many in the sport. They admire Crawford's talent, but they think this jump might just be one bridge too far. Not because he lacks ability, but because physics and weight classes exist for a reason.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
Yeah. You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height wise.
Still, not everyone agrees with that. Sugar Ray Leonard, a 5-division champion who knows about taking big risks, gave his thoughts during a May 22nd interview. When asked if the size difference was too much, Leonard didn't deny the danger, but he didn't count Crawford out either. I mean, that's true, but you know what? There's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a way to win, Leonard said. Leonard's words weren't meant to hype Crawford. They came from experience. He's lived what Crawford is about to attempt. And what he's saying is that sometimes skill, discipline, and belief can beat bulk and power. Crawford's hoping that still holds true.
What about Crawford do you think can bridge the weight gap, or with you, what did bridge the weight gap? Because a lot of people are just saying, hey, Canelo's just too big for someone like Terence.
That's true, but you know what? There's always a way. Put it that there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
Bob Arum, the longtime promoter who knows both fighters' careers inside and out, took a different route. He didn't question Crawford, he questioned Canelo. Canelo has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman, Arum said in a recent interview. He's not in there to entertain the public, he just takes the big check. Arum wasn't being disrespectful, he was being direct. He's watched Canelo evolve from an aggressive, ruthless boxer into a more calculating economic fighter. And in Arum's eyes, that shift might work against him against a guy like Crawford, who still fights with urgency.
Let me tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest?
He added, if Canelo really fights, because I think it's safe to say that Terence always fights. He doesn't know anything else, so then it could be a very interesting fight. The real question for Arum is not whether Crawford shows up ready, it's what version of Canelo shows up. Will it be the veteran who plays it safe, or the younger warrior who used to trade hard shots without blinking? Arum ended by asking what many fans have been wondering. Who's Canelo? What Canelo is gonna show up? The Canelo who is looking to cash a big check, or the Canelo that really wants to fight like a fighter? The Canelo we have seen in the last 2 years is not only boring, but doesn't really have an incentive to mix it up and to entertain people with a good fight.
Canelo has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman. He's not in there to entertain the public. He just takes the big check. But again, if Canelo really fights, because I think it's safe to say Terence always fights. He doesn't know anything else. So then it could be a very good, interesting fight.
That question hangs over the fight. It's not just about style, it's about motivation. Crawford is hungry. He's coming in with something to prove. He sees this as a legacy fight. Canelo, for all his accomplishments, hasn't shown that same fire recently. If that pattern continues, Crawford may find the opening he needs. But make no mistake, this fight isn't being treated like a money grab by Crawford. His warning, delivered live just days ago, wasn't for drama. It was a statement of intent. He's been climbing for years. He cleaned out 140. He dominated 147. He stepped up to 154 without hesitation. Now he's skipping 160 entirely to take on the man at the top of 168.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down. So I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion.
Trainer Stephen Edwards didn't just endorse Terence Crawford against Canelo Alvarez, he explained why the seemingly impossible might be within reach. His take? Simple. Anybody can be hurt. That includes even the granite-chinned Canelo Alvarez. Edwards wasn't talking hypotheticals. He was speaking from a trainer's perspective, one that has seen legends crumble. Some of the best chins I've ever seen have been clipped, he said, mentioning names like Holyfield and Duran. Anybody can be clipped, man. That phrase isn't just about damage, it's about vulnerability. What Edwards sees is that no matter how good the chin, no matter how historically durable a fighter has been, there's always a window. And Crawford? He's the type of fighter who specializes in finding those windows.
Crawford, Canelo, who you got? Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog. He's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe that's just his mentality.
It's not about raw knockout power with Crawford. It's about timing, precision, and creating moments that break rhythm. He isn't the kind of fighter who goes headhunting. He sets traps. He walks his opponents into shots they didn't see coming. And when a punch is placed perfectly, even the most durable man can get buzzed. Now consider this. Crawford hasn't fought since August 2024. That's a 13-month layoff by the time he steps in with Canelo. For most fighters, that would be a red flag. Ring rust is real, but Edwards doesn't see it that way with Crawford. He's one of them guys who never looks rusty, Edwards said. It applies to a lot of fighters, but he defies the logic behind it. Mayweather-Pacquiao was the most hyped, most lucrative boxing match in modern history, but Richard Schaefer sees something different with this one.
Speaking of Canelo, did you catch his past performance and what did you think?
I always think that Canelo have a good performance, but the last one are not good. Don't look good. His opponent and him don't make entertaining fights. So
It's going to be the biggest fight in the sport for as long as I can remember, he told The Ring. For Schaefer, it's not just about numbers, it's about timing. Unlike Mayweather and Pacquiao, who met years after the peak of their rivalry had passed, Canelo and Crawford are, in his view, both in their prime, and that distinction matters. With Mayweather-Pacquiao, people hyped it up. It was a big success financially, but I think this can be equally as big of a success in that regard, if not bigger, Schaefer continued. But I think Canelo Crawford is a fight between two men truly in their prime. That's the heartbeat of the buzz. This doesn't feel like a cash out. This doesn't feel like a legacy fight hanging on expired fumes. This is still about supremacy. And even though Crawford is climbing 2 full weight classes, Schaefer doesn't shy away from the danger. In fact, he leans into it.
Canelo and Bud. Who you like in this fight?
Canelo.
Why? Because Bud had to move up 3 classes?
Yes. And in the history of boxing, I've never seen anybody move up 2 classes and be successful.
Well, Roy did.
I mean, but not in one jump, not in one leap.
Right, you're right.
It was a here, right. Light, heavyweight, fight a few fights, right. Okay, heavyweight. We talking about he just fought 147 one fight ago.
Right.
And then you gonna fight at 168?
Yeah. Did he?
He doesn't dismiss Crawford's power, but he keeps coming back to the reality of the challenge. Canelo has the best chin in boxing. No question about it, Schaefer said. He has never been dropped, never been hurt, and it's going to be challenging for Crawford to really hurt Canelo. Even with that, he doesn't rule Crawford out. He acknowledges what happened in Crawford's last outing against Madrimov. Some thought Madrimov gave him a harder fight than expected. Some even believed Madrimov edged it. Schaefer's response? Canelo is no Madrimov. It's not an insult to Crawford, it's a reminder of the level he's stepping into. Madrimov is slick, tough, awkward, but Canelo brings a complete package that's rooted in composure, defense, ring IQ, and a suffocating body attack that breaks men down over rounds.
Ooh-wee! Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is about to be a real thing for September. I'm gonna need us to really talk about this. If you got Canelo winning this fight, I need to know why you think Canelo winning this fight. If you got Bud winning this fight, I need to know why you got Bud winning this fight. It's a 50-50 for me right now. This fight looks like it's about to go down in September. So I want to hear from y'all. Let's talk boxing.
Still, Schaefer keeps circling back to the moment the bell rings and the world locks in. He's promoted some of the sport's biggest nights, including Mayweather versus Canelo. And yet, he calls this upcoming bout substantially bigger. While that spectacle builds, another voice is starting to get louder and angrier. David Benavidez, the undefeated 2-time WBC super middleweight champion, long thought to be Canelo's most dangerous rival, is now watching someone else step into the spotlight. He's chased for years, and he's not taking it quietly. Canelo recently dismissed Benavidez, calling him a nobody. He mocked the hype around El Bandera Roja, saying he hadn't accomplished anything of note. By the way he talks, he thinks he's Superman, Canelo said. The statement stung, and Benavidez hasn't let it go.
It'd be one of the most biggest, upsets of all time for this dude to go up that many weight classes. And now I do think that, he's going to get his little shots in as far as, finessing and all that, because his hands are definitely way faster than Canelo. But just the weight and the way that Canelo fights, he's not going to back up against Crawford.
Yeah, I don't think Crawford's going to be able to hurt him. Even if he lands a home run punch, I think Canelo's going to be able to walk right through it.
He's going to, right.
On the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo, Benavidez unleashed. If I'm such a bad fighter that he could come and beat me and I'm nothing, why don't you come? Shut up. Earn people's respect and earn a good paycheck. What's the problem? That's not frustration, it's fury. Benavidez knows the stakes. He knows his name has been attached to Canelo's for years, often as the guy waiting on the doorstep while others got through. And now Crawford, a former lightweight, has leapt the line. If Canelo fights me today, it would probably be the biggest fight of his career, Benavidez continued. That would be the biggest payday he would earn in his career. He isn't just campaigning, he's making a case, a financial case, a legacy case, and still, he's being ignored.
Canelo's a stronger guy, the bigger guy, but in the fight with a guy that moves around, and if Crawford uses his skills and his legs and his technique and just his ability, I think he can win. He can win the fight in decision, as long as he doesn't get hit with those big shots from Canelo.
Even after moving up to light heavyweight and defeating Oleksandr Gvozdyk for the WBC interim title, Benavidez remains locked out of Canelo's immediate plans. His reward for chasing greatness? A cold shoulder. The deeper reason may lie in what's fueling Canelo's current schedule, the Riyadh season. Saudi Arabia's massive sports investment arm has taken over boxing's elite stage, writing checks that make mandatory challengers and traditional rankings feel irrelevant. It's no longer about climbing the ladder, it's about cash and spectacle. Benavidez knows it. The Saudi narrative favors global icons and crossover moments. Crawford fits the mold perfectly, undisputed at 135, 140, and 147. The undefeated American genius with something to prove. He sells history, he sells legacy, he sells risk. Benavidez, by contrast, sells danger.
A lot of people that say that Crawford can beat Canelo, no problem. I mean, I respect that, but I just think they're stupid. I mean, excuse my language. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch. And I can see the same thing. I mean, you saw Canelo Alvarez fighting Amir Khan. Now, look at this. Terence Crawford.
He's younger, taller, longer, meaner. He throws punches in bunches, fights with spite, and wants to take something from Canelo, not just box him. He doesn't sell a story of greatness meeting greatness. He sells the possibility of a dethroning, a real one. And maybe that's the point. Canelo's team knows that. They know Benavidez is still ascending, that he brings a style that could wear down even a man with a chin like Canelo's. And they also know that the money for Crawford is just as good, maybe better, without the same kind of threat. Benavidez, for now, has been erased from the list. Not officially, not by sanctioning bodies, but by the man at the top. But do you really think Crawford can do this? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more.